Okay, so I think we have quite a number of people who have joined us this evening. Thank you so much once again for joining us. I'll reiterate once more that this webinar is targeted at high school applicants. If you just logged in, who are interested in undergraduate programs at McMaster, at the bottom of your screen, you'll find the captions menu where you can turn on captions, as well as the Q&A box where you'll be able to submit questions. And once more, the recording of this session will be on our website at future.mcmaster.ca. So my name is Andy Munsami. I'm an international recruitment officer here at the Student Recruitment Office at McMaster University. My hometown is in Berbice, Guyana, and I'm a two-time graduate from McMaster University, obtaining a Bachelor of Arts degree, a Web Design and Development diploma, and as of 2024, in a few weeks, I will be graduating from my master's in technology management degree from another university here in Canada. Joining me today to answer your questions is my colleague Toby, who I'll turn over to introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. My name's Toby. If you guys have been watching our webinar recordings, you might recognize me from the first two webinar series that we had. As Andy said, I will be on the back end answering your Q&A questions. So anything you pop in the Q&A chat function, I'll be able to answer quickly. I'm a student services professional at McMaster. My hometown is Carlisle, Canada. And then I also am a McMaster graduate, graduating with a honors in linguistics and a minor in German studies. I'm going to be turning my camera off now so I can focus hard on your questions, and I'll hand it back over to Andy.
Thank you so much, Toby. And hopefully everyone is able to see my screen with both of our photographs. If there are any, if you're not able to see or hear, certainly let us know and we'll resolve that as best as we can. Before we go any further, though, we would like to acknowledge that McMaster University sits on the traditional territories of the Mississauga and Haudenosaunee nations and within the lands that are protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. Over the next half an hour, this is the agenda that we'll be covering. We'll talk about why you may want to choose McMaster University. We'll review your offer of admission and some of the key elements that you'll want to take a closer look into and what that means for you. Now that you've accepted your offer, or if you're still considering after you've accepted your offer, we'll then describe the next steps and explore now what. Followed by that, we'll also examine your journey and what that looks like from becoming a current applicant to McMaster University to a full-fledged McMaster Marauder this August, September. We'll conclude by addressing any questions that you might have. And as I mentioned earlier, you can submit your questions through our Q&A box. So let's jump right into the first question. Why McMaster University? Well, if you are going to be joining us this September, you are going to be earning a degree from a world-class institution. McMaster is very fortunate to be recognized among the top universities in Canada as well as internationally. An organization called Times Higher Education and their impact rankings in 2023 recognized McMaster as number 7 in Canada. In comparison to our global counterparts, we were recognized at number 33 in the world. We're also very fortunate in recent years to be recognized among the top 100 universities in the world. An organization called Academic Ranking of World Universities in 2023 listed us at number 98. In 2024, Times Higher Education also noted McMaster as number 103 out of several hundred universities in their annual assessments. Beyond a recognition as a top university, you are also going to be joining a diverse student-centered community. So this is what you're looking for your experience. You are going to become part of a community of around 32,000 undergraduate students. Our community also has more than 229,000 alumni spread over 147 countries around the world. In total, students from outside of Canada joining us to study here at the university represents about 4,500 plus members of our community. Each year, about 17.5% of our students join us from more than 125 countries around the globe. You are also going to be joining a beautiful campus environment. McMaster's campus is situated in West Hamilton in an area called Westdale Village. Our campus comprised of 377 acres of scenic property. On the north end, you'll find the most westerly point of Lake Ontario. the core of our campus, where you may live in one of our dorms or learn in one of our classroom or research in one of our research facilities. Those buildings are situated on a 30-acre core. To get from the north end of campus to the main entrance, typically it's about a 10-minute walk, and our campus is very much pedestrian friendly, as well as cyclist friendly as well. Why else might you want to join McMaster? Well, you will be joining a research intensive university. McMaster each year normally has an income of just under $370 million from the discoveries that have been made here. Our research is done at more than 70 plus research centers and institutes. And in terms of research dollars, in 2024, Maclean's magazine ranked McMaster as number 2 in Canada in terms of research dollars that are spent. You're also going to be joining us here in the beautiful city of Hamilton, Ontario. So Hamilton, I've lived here for the last 30 years. It is the 5th largest city in Ontario, the 10th largest city in Canada, and has a population just around about 700,000 residents. We are located about 45 minutes west of both Toronto as well as Niagara Falls. If you've ever traveled to Canada, or if you're here within Canada and have visited Niagara Falls, the same escarpment or hill where the water cascades off to create Niagara Falls runs for several hundred kilometers and goes through our city. As a result of that, there are a number of beautiful environments and green spaces in and around the Hamilton area, giving us the title of waterfall capital of the world. So your student experience and journey is going to be in a beautiful environment with lots of green space and nature. If you're into photography, lots of opportunities to participate in those types of activities outside of classes. So those are some of the reasons where you may want to join us at McMaster, or why many students in the past would have selected McMaster. Moving on to your offer of admission, let's talk about some of the key elements of your McMaster offer. In your offer of admission package, there'll be a lot of information. Mainly, you'll want to focus on some key components of your offer of admission letter package. In the letter, which is available in a PDF format, you'll see details about residence, as well as how to secure your spot in residence. Some key components to remember there is residence involves an online application, which actually opened up just yesterday, April 23rd. And you have to secure your space by submitting a $600 deposit by the deadline of June 3rd at 4 p.m. Hamilton time. The other piece of important information are the conditions of your offer of admission. The conditions are tailored to your high school curriculum, so be sure to read through that information in detail. There'll be a minimum grade average that you have to maintain at the end of your high school experience, and you'll also have to submit remaining official documents directly from the issuing source, and there's information about that in your letter. There's also personalized deadlines which you'll have to meet these conditions. The other piece is information pertaining to financial matters. So if applicable, you'll likely find some information about enrollment deposits, as well as the deadlines to submit those enrollment deposits. There are also going to be details about any scholarships, such as aid and awards that have been allocated to you. That's going to be present in your offer of admission portal. Now, if you're applying from within Ontario, your offer of admission portal will look something like this. It'll have the list of all the programs that you've applied through the Ontario University's application center at McMaster. You'll see some arrows highlighting some of the key pieces of information where you'll be able to, the first arrow outlines where you can download your offer of admission letter, the deadline that you have to accept that offer of admission, as well as the aid and award information I mentioned earlier, and whether or not you've been guaranteed a spot within one of our residence buildings. So this is what your portal would look like if you were applying again from within Ontario as an Ontario high school student. If you're applying from another part of Canada or outside of Canada, you'll be directed to a different portal that looks similar to what you're seeing on the slide at this moment. By following the View Your Decision Documents link, you'll be able to see the relevant information that I just alluded to. At the bottom of Once you click that View Your Decision Documents link, at the bottom of that page, there are also a number of other links that you will want to pay close attention to. Of course, there's the decision letter, which we'll explore in a moment. There'll be aid and awards summary, which has, as it says, a summary of all of the scholarships that have been assigned to you, a message from our president, and if applicable, a study permit letter that you'll be able to use to submit your study permit application with the government of Canada. So here's a sample of one of the offer of admission letters. Some of the key points that you'll want to take note of here is information about residence and whether or not it has been guaranteed to you, as well as the deadline to accept or complete your residence application. I mentioned earlier terms and conditions that are associated with your offer of admission. In this example, you'll see the particular 2 bullet points highlighting the particular terms and condition, as well as the deadline that this sample student has to complete and meet these conditions. Further down, you'll see other important information such as in details about an enrollment deposit, if that's applicable, as well as the deadline to accept the offer of admission. So the study permit document may appear on there if you are applying from outside of Canada or you are not a Canadian citizen. Those details will be helpful as you submit your study permit application. New in 2024, there is a letter of acceptance verification document, as well as a link that you can follow to obtain a letter of acceptance verification. Once you've reviewed these critical and crucial pieces of information, if you decide to join us at McMaster, this comprises of 3 steps. First, you of course have to accept your offer of admission by logging into the OUAC, which is where you would have originally applied, by the deadline that is noted on your letter. If applicable, you will have to also submit a deposit. So the deadline would have been noted in your offer of admission letter, and so would be the second step to follow. If you have received a conditional offer of admission, you'll of course have to meet those conditions by the deadline. McMaster's admissions office will begin clearing the conditions from your offer letter, typically between July and August. In terms of applying for a study permit, so if you are joining us from outside of Canada, we would have recently completed another webinar about how to apply for a Canadian study permit. Instead of reviewing this information for a second time, my colleague Toby will share the link where you can access that through our website. But has lots of great information, and I would strongly encourage you, if this is applicable, if you're required to submit a study permit application, to review the details there, as it involved a presenter from our International Student Experience Office going into some wonderful information and details about that step. New in 2024, as I mentioned, some students may have to complete and submit provincial attestation letter. The first step, to summarize in this process, is to accept your offer of admission. You'll have to pay a $2,000 deposit, as well as complete our provincial attestation letter tool. On the slide, you'll see the specific website address where this tool is available. Once you've completed this process, from the time of submitting your deposit to completion of this tool, there may be some slight lags in time, and so don't be too surprised. But once you've completed the process in full, it may take between 5 to 10 business days for your provincial attestation letter to be released to you. In terms of time frame, let's talk about where we are today or this week to the end of August and your journey to McMaster. So first, in relation to residence, I mentioned that yesterday, April 23rd, our residence applications opened. The next important date in relation to residence is June 3rd, 4 p.m. Hamilton time, and submission of your $600 deposit. Once you have completed that step in mid-June, you'll receive an email with details about your room selection time slot. In late June, you'll be able to log in to one of these appointments to choose your particular room that is available here at McMaster. Between August 20th to 23rd, if you are joining us from outside of Canada or eligible to participate in our Ignite program, the Ignite program will happen in that time frame. Our traditional residence move-in is slated for August 24th to 25th at the end of August. If you have any medical, dietary, disability, or religious need that might necessitate a specific residence accommodation, we strongly encourage you to indicate your residence on this on your residence application by answering yes to requiring accommodation and completing the required sections on that application. So that's a little bit of a time frame of late April to August as it relates to residence. Now let's talk about the financial steps and what that timeline looks like. So if applicable, you will be required to pay a deposit by the deadline that's posted on your letter. Again, pay keen attention to your letter to determine if that is relevant to you. June 3rd, 4 p.m. Hamilton time is your residence application deadline. That involves a $600 deposit. If you've been assigned an award or scholarship, September 12th is when your entrance awards will be automatically deposited into your McMaster student account. And September 25th, so a few weeks into your first semester of classes, is when your tuition fees and residence fees are due. So as it relates to financial matters, this is a little bit of an overview of some important milestones or dates that you should take into consideration. As it relates to picking your classes, we'll move on to that slide. So June 12th, 2024 is when you will be assigned an enrollment appointment. An enrollment appointment is the time where you will be able to log into our portal for enrolling in classes to choose the courses that are associated with your program. In mid-June, you will also have access to, in your McMaster Student Center, access to my timetable to help you craft your desired timetable. Fast forward to June 26th, this is the earliest when the earliest enrollment appointments begin. Between June and August, so from the middle to the end of the summer, pardon me, you'll be able to meet with your academic advisor. So if you're concerned or anxious about the picking classes or crafting the appropriate schedule based on your desired goals in the future, your academic advisors are wonderful resources who can assist with that portion of the process. And then fast forward to early September, your first day of classes, once you've completed all these steps, is going to be September 3rd, 2024. Closer to the end of the summer and into your first week at McMaster, there are a number of different activities that are planned. So in late August is the start of our Welcome Week. And having lived through this, both as a student as well as a volunteer for a number of different years, and having observed it as an employee of McMaster University, it truly is a wonderful experience. And I would strongly encourage you to participate in as many of the activities as you can. What will you be able to do? Well, there are various events that are planned, such as concerts, social activities, opportunities to help you get to know students from within your program, within your residence building, from other programs, other residence buildings. You'll be able to participate in our faculty cheer-off, our faculty oath ceremonies for those faculties that have that, as well as moving onto campus. It's a wonderful experience that helps you get to know others, as well as the support mechanisms that are there to ensure you have a successful and productive journey at McMaster. Now, what are those support services to ensure your success? Well, we support you in a number of different ways. If you're an international student, our international exchange and student experience team, they are there to ensure you have a wonderful experience onboarding to McMaster during your time at the university. There's the McMaster Students Union. If your school has a student council, think of this as a student council on a much larger scale. The McMaster Student Union ensures advocacy and representation for full-time undergraduate students at the university. They offer a number of different services, and as part of the fees you pay to McMaster, you are also a member of the McMaster Students Union. There's the Black Student Success Center, our Student Accessibility Services Office, our Student Success Center to ensure you're supported in a number of different ways. For example, if you are unsure about internship opportunities or developing a CV or resume or career planning, those are some of the popular activities our Student Success Center offers to you as a student. Our Wellness Center is best described as a physician's office on campus, and there to ensure you have a healthy journey here on campus. These are the support mechanisms that are there for you in your entire journey at McMaster. But this transition starts, especially if you're joining us from outside of Canada, even before you arrive. So our International Student Experience team, they organize our Ignite program. This is a 3-day orientation program that allows early move-in for students from outside of Canada. You'll receive tours of campus. You'll be able to learn more about the on-campus supports, meet with academic advisors, as well as tour around the city of Hamilton. Our International Student Experience Office also has the iSent app, which is a hub for student information from accepting your offer to the point of graduation. You'll be able to connect about flight details, as well as the free shuttle from Toronto's Pearson Airport to drop you off right here at McMaster's campus. You can sign up using your McMaster email for this particular support mechanism, the iSent app. The International Experience Office, for those joining us from outside of Canada as well, also has their Student Buddy program. This is where you're paired with an upper year mentor for advice, as well as just a warm welcome to McMaster. So from today here at the end of April to a few months from now and your first day of classes, this is how we support you. So at this point in time, I'd like to open it up to any questions that you might have in terms of anything we've covered today. And my colleague Toby and I are delighted to answer those questions. So I'll open up the Q&A box and review any questions that may have been submitted there. So a question that I see in the Q&A box is, can you reach out to the advisors before the appointment? And the answer is yes. Once you've decided to join us at McMaster, you can reach out to the department or the program that you are entering. And in fact, they'll likely reach out to you with important next steps and instructions on how they'll be supporting you. But you are absolutely welcome to reach out to the various advisors once you've decided to join us to help with the planning and starting to get a better understanding of your journey in first year.
Andy, also, we do have a question. I have submitted the answer while you were doing your presentation, but I thought maybe it would be beneficial to have it answered live as well. So we have some students asking about, we have a student who is currently an international student on visa, but they are receiving their permanent residency soon. So they were just wondering about how to go about changing their residency.
So if your status changes, of course, you should certainly update the university about that so that your profile can be updated. In terms of fees and tuition, that'll likely impact the amount of tuition that you're paying based on the policies that are in place. And so on the registrar's Office of the Registrar's website, you'll see instructions on how to submit those documents. For example, if you were again, to become a permanent resident of Canada, you'll be able to submit those documents to update your status so that we have the most relevant and accurate information about you, so that as it relates to tuition, your fees can reflect your new status.
We also have some open questions in our chat or in our Q&A function now. Can you please explain more about the Ignite program? How can we apply for it, and when is the move-in date?
Yes, and so I will, if you bear with me for a moment, I believe on one of our slides we would have mentioned the move-in date. It is August 20th to 23rd. I'm having some troubles right-clicking on my slides right now, but just before that August 24th, 25th move-in date for a few days is when the International Student Experience Office organizes that. They'll certainly be advertising that to you, but it's a few days before the end of August move-in date. And you can certainly participate in that or reach out to the International Student Experience Office in the coming months and weeks to learn more about the specific steps that you would need to take to register in that. But they'll certainly be reaching out if you're watching from outside of Canada today.
Someone's asking if you don't meet the residency requirement, can you still apply?
So, in terms of residency requirement, I'm assuming they are referring to citizenship status. And so anyone, if that's in fact correct understanding, anyone irrespective of your citizenship status can apply to study at McMaster. We have, as I mentioned, students from more than 100 different countries that are joining us at any given year. And so what ends up happening is we admit you based on your academic performance for the jurisdiction, the state, the country, the region that your school follows. And that's how we make our admission decision. Your citizenship status comes into effect, as you'll see on our website, on our cost estimator. If you are Canadian, you'll pay domestic tuition. If you are not Canadian, there is a tuition amount that students who are studying in Canada on a visa pay. So I hope my assumption about your question is correct in terms of residency. If you're referring to if you're not guaranteed a spot within one of our residence building, I believe, can check the housing website, housing.mcmaster.ca, with the specific instructions for 2024 and what the waitlist process might look like.
Someone is asking what is the latest they can hear back from McMaster regarding offers of admission.
So we are admitting students on a rolling basis. If you are applying from outside of Ontario, your deadline to ensure all of your documents were submitted to us was April 1st. And so for those applicants who have submitted all of their documentation, we are continuing to work on releasing and finalizing decisions for students with that April 1st deadline who are not studying in Ontario. For students who are an Ontario high school applicant to McMaster, admission decisions, we are currently waiting on second semester midterm grades. Those likely will be transmitted to us very soon. And using that information, we are mandated to wrap up a decision for all Ontario high school applicants by the end of May. And that specific deadline date, I don't want to misquote the wrong date, but it's normally in the third week of May. And so by the end of May is when you should be expecting to hear from us if you are joining us from a high school in Ontario.
We have a student who is planning on being an off-campus student, and they're actually just wondering about meal card for off-campus students and how it works for buying food on campus as an off-campus student.
Absolutely. So you'll be able to visit hospitality.mcmaster.ca for the most up-to-date information. Having lived off campus in my first year at McMaster, it was very convenient to be able to participate in the off-campus meal plan. At that point in time, it involved choosing a minimum balance and whatever size you preferred once it was above that minimum. And it saved me from carrying cash on those days where I didn't want to pack a lunch or bring a lunch. I simply swiped my card, and just like anyone living on campus, the balance declined every time I purchased food. And so it's very convenient. And if you're living off campus, I would say it's a great idea to have maybe some funds on there just in case you're in a rush, or maybe you're running late and you don't have time to pack a lunch. You can certainly take advantage of that as well.
We also have a student asking about tuition fees. So they do see the tuition deposit listed, but they're just wondering how they can find the fees for their tuition in general.
Great question. So on our website, future.mcmaster.ca, or on the website of the Office of the Registrar, that website is registrar.mcmaster.ca. There are a couple of cost estimators that you can access, which has the updated relevant fees for September 2024 entry. So you can input the type of program, as well as other information you like to include in the projection, and it'll have the precise uh, tuition fees that you'll be billed as a full-time, pardon me, as a full-time student. The actual amount that you'll have to pay to McMaster, that is not calculated until June, July, once you actually start adding classes to your schedule on your Mosaic student portal. You'll see the precise amount based on the number of classes that you've formally uh, added to your schedule, and you'll see also the deadline and all the details on that portal.
We have a more fun question in the
Oh, I love
chat.
fun questions.
We have someone asking about the different food vendors on campus. Is there some of the examples that they gave was like McDonald's or Wendy's?
So there is a McDonald's nearby. There is also a Wendy's nearby. But in terms of on campus, we do not have a McDonald's on campus or nor Wendy's. But there are 18 different cafeterias normally where you can find food from earlier in the morning to the just before the middle of the night. You can also have food delivered to your dorm if you're living on campus. And we also partner with a number of different off-campus restaurants where you can use your meal plan as well. So lots of options to stay fed and full, but unfortunately no Wendy's or McDonald's. Although I don't know if I should put a shameless plug for Uber Eats.
And McMaster has recently partnered with DoorDash to accept our meal plan cards as well. So that's something that's something that we can plug for sure.
Wonderful.
And there's a question that just came in about the Hamilton Transit. Is it free for students? How does that work?
Of course. And so with your tuition that you pay to the university and in collaboration with the McMaster Students Union, recall I was mentioning that they offer a number of different services. The McMaster Students Union has partnered with the local transit authority to offer a discounted or a pass. And so you'll be receiving more information about that. But it certainly is very useful to be able to access the local transit network.
I'm going to take some questions here. Someone's asking for residency. If your average is below 90s, can you still apply? So I did include some of this information in someone else's answer, but I'll go over it on voice as well. So the way that residency works is if you are not guaranteed, if you do not have guaranteed residence, those applicants who apply by the June 3rd deadline at 4 p.m. Hamilton time, you will be ordered on the first year wait list according to your admissions average. So for example, if you have an 89.99, it will be that first, and then it will work in a descending order. For non-guaranteed students who apply after June 3rd at 4 p.m. EST, you will be ordered at the bottom of the before June 3rd deadline waitlist, and it will be by the time and date of your application submission. Students will be able to check your waitlist number on the residence application status page in the housing portal after June 3rd deadline. So yes, it is possible to apply to be on waitlist if your average is below 90%. But as Andy mentioned earlier in this webinar, students who live outside of Ontario or Canadian citizens living abroad and international students, they are almost always guaranteed residence, but just double check your offer letter there to make sure that it states it there for you.
And so I'll wrap up by encouraging you again to take a closer look at the offer of admission documents that are on your portal. We would have highlighted the two different portals that you can access, whether you're joining us from a high school in Ontario or from another part of Canada or outside of Canada. You can rewind to take a look at those parts once the recording is posted, but certainly take a close look at all of those details as it relates to your residence deadlines and deposit deadlines, as well as if you are joining us from outside of Canada, follow the links that are included in your offer letter so that you have you're undertaking the necessary steps for your provincial attestation letter if that's relevant, or obtaining the document needed for your study permit to include with your study permit application to the Government of Canada. But on behalf of my colleague Toby, as well as the rest of our team here at the Student Recruitment and Admissions Office at McMaster, I would like to thank you for joining us. Hopefully this was informative. If you think of any questions after today's webinar or while you're watching the recording, if you are in fact watching the recording, you can always connect with us via email, live chat on our website at future.mcmaster.ca, or we are Mac Admit on a number of different apps on our socials. And those are great ways of getting those questions answered to ensure that you are making a well-informed decision about the next few years in your academic journey here at McMaster. I look forward to seeing you on campus this September. Don't hesitate to say hi if you should pass by, but we look forward to seeing you on campus and during Welcome Week and all the fun activities and excitement that's planned for you. Wonderful. So again, on behalf of my colleague, as well as our entire student recruitment and admissions team here, thank you for tuning into our webinar this evening. If you've tuned into all or multiple webinars, thank you for tuning in over the last several weeks. We hope this has been informative, but do stay in touch and all the best in the remainder of your academic journey. Bye for now.